July 26th, 2017. Welcome to the Philly Podcast, and I got to turn this down, TV down a little bit. Hold on. Okay, that was a little loud. So, I want to get in this Jordan Matthews thing. There was a lot of I posted something on Instagram today on the podcast account about the possibility, keyword, the possibility of Jordan Matthews leaving and getting traded. And it is a big possibility. It is a big possibility, and I got slammed by a couple people for it. The comments. Let's read it. People don't read things. So let me show you what I posted. I posted a picture of Jordan Matthews. I edited a picture, I put text in there, and I said, could there be a trade lingering with Jordan Matthews? Definitely. I don't want him to go. I think he's a very good slot player. I'm not saying that there goes the music. I'm not saying that he could be. I don't want him to leave. I think he's a great player. I think he's like Joey said in the comments that he is the most proven wide receiver and is finally back in the slot. I agree with that. But his contract runs out. He's going to be a free agent next year. The Eagles have to decide what they're going to do. Doug Peterson in the press conference yesterday. I have it right here. Here we go. All right, here's a couple of questions and answers from the press conference yesterday. A person asked, "What's wrong with his knee?" Doug Peterson said, "Nothing, just rehabbing it and keeping it healthy." So you're holding him out of practice. I'm not holding him out. He didn't practice. That's right. There's got to be something. And then another person asked, there's got to be something more than something wrong with his knee, not than knowing if you said he is not practicing. And Peterson said, you can ask Director of Sports Medicine and Head Athletic Trainer Chris Peduzzi. You can ask our doctors. I'm not a medical guy. You can't ask those questions to them. So he did have that injury, the knee injury. And by the sounds of this, this is very odd. This is very odd with Jordan Matthews because the Eagles are definitely holding something bigger from us. Jordan Matthews has had to do something. The knee it's more than a knee injury. I think this is something big. Unfortunately, this definitely sounds very fishy because Peterson knows that something's wrong, but he's refusing to tell the media. He knows something. Like this is very fishy. The fact that he's saying that the question that was asked to him, there's got to be something more, and he's saying you can ask Chris Peduzzi, and I'm not a medical guy. Peterson has to know if there's something more wrong with Jordan Matthews. He has to know. Like the player, he didn't do minicamp. He didn't do the spring stuff. He missed a couple games last year. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to have him in the slot. Love to have him play the Week 1 game against Washington, play the whole year. I mean, it seemed that he was getting along really well with Carson Wentz. But this is fishy. And also, you want to put in consideration the Eagles need a corner. I mean, it would be very stupid if they get rid of Matthews for a corner. But I think he's on the trade block. I really do. Now, I really do think he's on the trade block. I don't want him to be, but I think he is. Let's check the live chat. Barely had anybody in there yesterday. Andrew, this is not fake news, okay? I'm going to throw another one out there. I mean, Matthews can he's going to get. I mean, something's going to happen with him. I don't think his future with the Eagles is just. Yeah, this is fishy. I mean, you have the contract, you have the injury, the Eagles in your corner. Those are three things. I don't want him to leave. I like Jordan Matthews. I want to see him in the slot. But there is a chance that he can get traded. There is a chance. People have to read my posts. I said, could there be a trade lingering with Jordan Matthews? Now, I'm not saying I think Jordan Matthews will get traded. Joey, read the damn post. Read the post. Oh, people. They just look at it. And then Mitchell McCann said, oh, he is as good as Julio or BJ, and that's who the Eagles can get for him, something like that. I'm like, no way. No way. But you know what? He's gonna go. I mean, I think he's gonna go because, like I said, the three reasons: the contract, the injury, and the Eagles might need a corner. That is fake news. No one would take Jordan Matthews. Well, they will. I mean, he's a very good slot cornerback, and that's why they'd take him. Or I'm sorry, slot receiver. I'm sorry. That's why they would take him. If you give him to a desperate team like the Bears to put around Trubinsky, if they want to start him, they'll take him. They'll take him. Teams that are desperate for a receiver will take him. I mean, we got to see what the whole deal is. What the injury is. But I mean, I do feel a trade coming for Jordan Matthews. Unfortunately, I really don't want him to leave because I mean the Eagles have to step up here and have to negotiate a contract with him. Hopefully, a long-term deal. Other Eagles news: Alan Barbre has been cut. Marcus Smith has been cut. Isaac Seumalo has been named a starting lineman. Barbre was absolutely awful. He was not. I mean, he was bad. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, you know, the two main pieces on that line, like I said, are Lane Johnson and Jason Peters. Another thing too is many people think that the Eagles should start the year. I'm going to start the year with another quarterback that they have picked up. I mean, many people are saying Revis, but we'll see. We'll see. What else do I want to get to today? We'll talk about the Phillies later. I want to bring up college football, and I want to preview three teams today. I'm only gonna preview one real local team and what I consider local teams. There's five local teams that Philadelphia people from Philadelphia root for: Penn State, Temple, Notre Dame, Rutgers, and Pitt. There's a big five teams that many people root for around here. So today we're gonna go with the Lions and two other Big Ten teams. Tomorrow I'll probably do Temple. Um, if there's a show on Friday, I'll do I don't think I'm going to do Rutgers because we all know how they're going to be. Probably do Pitt, and then maybe I'll figure out next week. We'll see what goes on next week because I'm going to be down the shore, but I'll get to it at some point. But today I'm going to preview three Big Ten teams: Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Three teams that are in contention for the Big Ten East. Obviously, Penn State won the Big Ten last year. A signature win against Ohio State. They had a very good season, a very good second half football team. Lost the Rose Bowl to USC in probably one of the best Rose Bowls I've ever seen. Probably one of the best bowl games that were on. Another team, Ohio State, who were slammed by Clemson. Slammed. They lost to Penn State. I think that was their only was that their only regular season loss? That couldn't have been. Lost to those two. I don't know, but they've had to have a couple, at least two losses because Penn State. Then they had to have another team. Penn State lost to. They had like 2 or 3 losses, but then they ended up beating Michigan in the last game of the season, which I said during the season last year. If any of you guys remember, Ohio State Michigan was going to be the best. It was going to be the game of the year, and I had that to be the game of the year this year at Michigan Stadium. Ohio State Michigan, two very good teams, and that's and now I'm going to go into Michigan. They had a very good football season last year. They lost 3 games, including a bowl, the Orange Bowl to Florida State. Lost that game to Ohio State, which was probably one of the better games last year also. And they lost to Iowa. They have Harbaugh. I think they are way too overhyped. I know many people around on here know my stance on that team, but I think they're way too overhyped. I think they're overhyped. Let's start with Penn State. I mean, they're getting McSorley back. They're getting Barkley back. They did lose Chris Godwin. They did. I mean, Godwin was a big loss for that team. It was a big loss. McSorley, I mean, you go for the first few games in the Penn State season, and you say, okay, this is going to be the typical Penn State team. Franklin's going to probably be on the hot seat. After that Michigan game, I'm like, okay, this team sucks. This is just bad. I mean, this is going to be another year for Penn State. So after that game, Penn State kind of turned a lie. What the hell was that? That scared the shit out of me. God damn. When you're I'm trying to sit here and talk football, and then a friggin' ad comes up. God damn, that scared me. Whew. Anyway, after the Michigan game, Penn State kind of went on a hot streak. Their signature game was the Ohio State game, which they won on that block punt. They had the block punt. No, was it a block punt or block field goal? I forget. But they did block something, and they won the game. Saquon Barkley was a big part of last year. Trace McSorley was a big part of last year. Chris Godwin was a big part of last year. I mean, they were. They had a. You want to take the Rose Bowl out of consideration. They played all right. They played all right. Where they had their ups and downs. 7 starters return with 8 of the top 11 tacklers. But they need some help with the pass rush. Garrett Sickles, Evan Schwan were all going off the ends. The tackles are excellent, but the faster new defensive ends can rise up, the better. And I think the secondary is going to be very big because they do have Marcus Allen. Also, they have what's his face? John Reed was a big part. I don't think he was a big part, but he was a very good corner for Penn State last year. He played. The guy he went to St. Joe's Prep. So, yeah. So, here are the top 5 offensive players that Penn State currently has on paper, according to College Football News from USA Today. Saquon Barkley, number 1. 2, Trace McSorley. 3, Mike Gesicki. 4, Ryan Bates. 5, Connor McGovern. So you have 2 linemen on there, a running back, a quarterback, and a tight end. Defensive players. Number 1 is Marcus Allen, who's a safety. Jason Cabanita, a linebacker. John Reed, I was talking about him. A corner. Brandon Smith, a linebacker. Manny Bowen, a junior. David Hamilton, Deshaun Hamilton is going to be a key player this year, according to College Football News, because he has to step up. He has shoes to fill. You lose Chris Godwin. McSorley needs a guy to throw the ball to. And, the receiving corps has to step up if this team wants to be good. So, yeah. So I think a couple big games are obviously the Michigan game at Penn State. I think Penn State's going to pull away. Michigan usually is used to the luxury of playing in the biggest stadium in college football. They had their stadium is obviously the biggest stadium in college football, and it's the biggest stadium in the nation. Number 2 is Penn State. So Michigan has to go to the second biggest stadium, which is an advantage with a big stadium, a big place to play, and a tough environment they're used to. And now they have to play in one, and we'll see how they play in. I mean, I know the last time they played there, they won with Harbaugh. For Harbaugh's first year when they had Jake Rudock at the quarterback, and they won that game. But now, I mean, but Penn State wasn't really that good that year. Now Penn State is good, and now Michigan's going to go play them. Play a good Penn State team. So, but I think that's a game that Penn State will win. They have away games at Iowa, Northwestern, and Michigan State. That's not going to be easy games. They have the talent. I think they have the talent to win, but we'll see. Big game is the 28th of October at Ohio State. I mean, I don't think they'll win that because it's in the shoe, but I think they're going to play a good game. So, yeah. So, my thing with Penn State, I think they're going to come back and have a good year. I'm not thinking. I mean, we'll see what goes on. I mean, obviously, you have 3 big teams in that in the Big Ten East. But I think we'll see. I really think we'll see because I think they'll steal a game from Michigan, but I think they'll lose to Ohio State. That's what I think will happen. So let's preview Ohio State. What happened? Okay. Trying to get this to load. Okay. Ohio State. This thing is awful. This thing can't load. I swear to God, I think I got the worst. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's just check the live chat real quick. All right. Jim Jacko wants me to rip a June. They want me to talk about substitute teachers. I mean, my school has their fair share. And I'm just taking a little live chat break for a second before we preview the Bucks. They want me to rip a June, and they want me to talk about substitute teachers. Okay. I mean, our school is known to having some of the weirdest substitute teachers in the state, in my opinion. I mean, I talked to kids from Upper Dublin, and they say that they're not that bad. I mean, our substitute teachers are characters. They're like cartoon characters. They are just so, they're different people. They're different types of people. And there's like John, Face, Revel. Penn State is overrated, but I'm obviously rooting for them. I think they're not as overrated as Michigan. I don't think they're as overrated as Michigan. And plus, I mean, I think they're gonna have a good defense. I think they look good. The only thing I'd be concerned if I were a Penn State fan is receiving core. That's the only thing I'd be worried about. Other than that, I mean, that's a team that's gonna probably lose 1, 2 football, at least 3 football games this year at most. I mean, Andrew, this if I were you and I were a Penn State fan, I'd be waiting and counting the days till the season opener. I'd be pacing. I'd be walking around. If that were my team, Notre Dame, I'd be walking around. I'd be pacing. I'd be going nuts. I mean, I know you're not like that, but that's what Penn State fans should be doing. So now let's get to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I wanted to throw Ohio State and Michigan into the preview because I know we have a lot of Penn State fans that are listening, and I kind of want to cater to them a little bit, kind of tell them who they're going to have to deal with this season. Um, I mean, these are two teams that I really want to preview. I mean, a lot of people are fans of these teams, so we'll talk about them. So yeah, the offense. JT Barrett. Seems like that guy's been there forever. It seems like that guy's been there forever. He's the starting quarterback. Um, you know, Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State is just. I mean, they made it 2 out of the 3 years to the college football playoff. Obviously, the first year they won it. They won the national championship. The second year, they played my guys in the Fiesta Bowl, and Ezekiel Elliott ran all over Notre Dame. That started the decline of Brian Van Gorder as Notre Dame's defensive coordinator. And then last year, they made it to the playoff, but they got absolutely spanked by the national champion Clemson. So I mean, the Ohio State has put out 3 very good football teams this year. I mean, in the last few years, they have a very high recruiting class. They have Urban Meyer's the head coach, and he just brought in a former head coach in Kevin Wilson as their offensive coordinator, and probably one of the best offensive coordinators in college football. Now, you have JT Barrett as the quarterback. You don't have Curtis Samuel back there. You don't know. You don't have Noah Brown. You don't have Dontre Wilson. But they're like Penn State too. They have to see what the receiving core. I mean, obviously Curtis Samuel was a running back, but they have to see what the receiving core can do. I mean, Mike Weber. Hold on, sorry. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't think about Kevin Wilson. I mean, Ohio State needed to bring a change to the offense. I mean, it was slow in the Clemson game, a little slow in the Michigan game, although they did win that. I mean, Ohio State had chances to put that game away against Michigan, but they didn't. So I think it's good for them that they brought in Kevin Wilson. They have a decent line. Barrett has proven to be deadly when he gets time to work. It's up to Benjamin Victor, Paris Campbell, and Terry McLaurin, who I guess are the new receivers. So, yeah. The defense, I think they've lost a lot over the last couple of years. They've lost a ton of talent in the back seven. The pass rush should be good. They have the top 5 defensive D linemen returning. They have the best defensive end rotation in America. 4 all-star next-level starters who will boost up the pedestrian 28 sacks of last year. So, I mean, their defense, their defensive line is going to be very good. They lost Raekwon McMillan in the middle for the linebacking, as a linebacker, and the secondary got gutted. I mean, they're gonna this talent, the talent level on their secondary, restock the shelves in a hurry, as it says here. And then there's no Malik Hooker, but Damon Webb is a good hitting safety, while Denzel Ward needs to become the name's new star corner. The offense, I think, here a question here says Ohio State will be far better if they keep Barrett upright. And then JT Barrett's going to probably lead this team this year. He probably will. Mike Weber is going to be the running back. Offensive tackle, Jamarco Jones. Center, Billy Price. Tight end, Marcus Ball. Defensive player, defensive end, Tyquan Lewis. Linebacker, Jerome Baker. Sam Hubbard, Michael Hill, Jalen Holmes. The receiver core needs to step up. A big game is week 2 against Oklahoma. That's a big game, but they're playing that at home, so I give them the edge. Plus, they have to play at Michigan, which is always a big game. And now, since they're playing, I think Michigan's going to be pissed off. It's been a few years since they beat them. But we'll see. I mean, we'll really see. So let's check the live chat. They want me to talk about the substitute teachers. They want me to talk about Mr. Sea Dog. Okay. Sea Dog Siebert. It's a weird dude. A weird dude. All right. Let's get to Michigan, and then we'll get on with the Phils. Talking some Phillies baseball after this. They lost a shitty game last night. But let's get to my least favorite college football team. My opinion, an overrated college football team. And, I can't stand this team. Michigan to me is a Notre Dame fan. Now, if you ask most Notre Dame fans, they'll tell you that their least favorite team is USC. Mine is Michigan. Michigan, in my opinion, is like the New York Yankees of college football. I feel like they own every single record. But people like them for some reason. People like them, and I don't get it. They have the biggest stadium. It looks like a toilet bowl. And they call it the Big House. So I call it the Big Shit. Notre Dame plays in week 1 of next year, 2018. I can't wait for that game. Whew, I'm gonna go all out. Jeez. But I am not a big Michigan fan. I think they are a very overrated team. But let's preview them, because I want them to be bad this year. Look, they shows a picture of Wilton Speight and that dumb helmet. It's like a bunch of arrows pointing to a dickhead that the Michigan helmet has a bunch of arrows pointing to a person who made the terrible decision to go to that school. The only two former Michigan players that I have respect for, actually, really one, and that's Tom Brady. I mean, I don't like Tom Brady, but I respect him because he's the best quarterback in my opinion of all time since he's won 5 Super Bowls, and now I mean he knows how to win. He knows how to win. All right, so here's the offense. Perfectly balanced last year's season. 213 rushing yards, 212 passing yards. They do have Wilson Speight coming back. He can be good enough to play in the NFL. I think they're right on that one. I mean, the guy has a lot of accuracy. He can throw the ball really well. Devion Smith is gone, but Khalid Hill is back in the running back position. This article is so biased. Chris Evans leading a four-headed monster working behind a strong versatile line. You know, thing is with the Michigan offense, they lost a tight end, Jake Butt. And Jake Butt was actually a pretty good tight end. I mean, I think that's big. And then if they wanted, I mean, they used a little bit of Jabril Peppers in the offense. He's gone. The receivers have to play. I mean, with all three of these teams that I previewed, it's all about the receivers. They lost Amara Darboh, Jehu Chesson, Jake Butt. I mean, that's big. The defense. You can tell that this article is so freaking biased. This should be fun. I'm cringing right now. I'm gonna do this though. Wolverines have to replace 11 of the top 13 tacklers from the nation's number one defense. That's good. Okay, hopefully they'll have issues with that. That they have the line is in a good place with Maurice Hurst, big prospect, and then Rashawn Gray is going to get a full-time shot. Mike McCray is going to have to return. Is going to have to fill in Jabril Peppers' spot, and we all know how good he was last year. Okay, dumb Mike. All right. Secondary has to survive. I think they've lost a lot in the secondary. So, I think their best offensive players probably is obviously Wilton Speight. I mean, he's going to lead the charge, and the best defensive players are Rashawn Gray. So, yeah. So that's Michigan, and that's it for the college football previews of today. And now, I think even Andrew said face reveal. We're back in the group chat. Face reveal, okay. He wants a face reveal. You want a face reveal? Oh no, maybe next week. Because I'm gonna have to figure something out. I can't miss podcast. Oh shit. Can't miss podcast. All right, so let's go to the Phils. Let's talk about the Phils. Played a tough game last night. They played a. We'll do real quick, Phillies, before we end this. They played a tough game last night. I mean, they cannot hit, but the post game show. I mean, Ricky Battaglia has been very hard on them. I mean, I don't blame him for most of the things he's been hard on for him. I mean, they've had a rough year. I mean, they're the worst team in the game. And at the end of the All-Star break, they were started to play good, but I expected this 100% then to get their asses handed to them by the Houston Astros. I expected it. Pavetta didn't pitch a terrible game up until the 6th inning when the Astros really broke loose. I mean, I don't think he's a bad pitcher. He's not getting offensive support. Yeah, Charlie freaking Morton. A guy that can't set on a pitching style. Beat you. Shut you out. Well, not, but, I mean, the offense is just bad. And then you had the whole Odubel Herrera thing. And, Odubel Herrera has to learn some class. He's going to have to learn some class. He's going to have to really learn plate discipline. That's an issue. And, I mean, we'll see what tonight brings. It's Fears versus Nola. I mean, I'd like to see him take a game, but, that's a tough thing to ask with this team. Then you got to play the second place Braves starting Friday night. So, yeah. So that's it for today. Yeah, so we'll do one tomorrow, same time, 3 o'clock. Preview a few things, and yeah, boom. All right, see you.